Hello, parents of Columbia. Thank you so much for clicking the link. I'm so excited to speak with you just for a little bit about the parent surveys that we sent out. I know that you had reached out, or you should have gotten a link as well from my co-resident on some of the issues that she was working on, research based as well. And the couple questions that I'm going to cover for you guys deals with the pandemic. So, I will quickly go over kind of the survey data and how that came back, and then we'll just go into some of the solutions around some of the research that I have found for you guys. So, the first question that we asked you about was, my child's learning progress has been affected by the pandemic. We had a resounding yes of agrees. We had some strongly agrees. And then we did have a few disagrees. So that's fine. No neutrals, no strongly disagree. But the majority of you said 1,000,000% yes. The next question that we asked was about your child's social and emotional behavior. Has that changed since the pandemic as well? We had a strong yeses as well there in the agree category. We had some strongly agrees. And then we had actually a few leveled off at disagree as well. So it kind of is up and down. There's no real neutral area there, just a few actually neutral sprinkled in, but the majority said yes and strongly agree. And then your disagree category had a few that fell in there. So that was enough for us to say, let's take a look, right? And so what I started to jump in to see if you were alone. And I'm happy to report that you are not. So across the state of Georgia, we have what's called the learning gap, is what they're kind of coining it as. And that would be the progression of comprehension learning that has taken place post-pandemic. So pre-pandemic, they were on a accelerated scale, and I'm speaking about when it comes to STEM in particular, and I focused and concentrated down between high school, right? So high school math, high school science. And so with that, across the state of especially Georgia, the U.S. in general, but I did concentrate down into Georgia as well, there is what's called a learning gap that has occurred. So our rates are not accelerating the way they are. Matter of fact, they have stopped and they have gone down as well. So our goal really needs to be what is happening. Let's target those areas and figure out how do we get that progression to go back up. And again, we're talking about in regards to comprehension rates, which are taken from test scores and the data that is being put out. So we're looking at end of course testing for the core subjects, your algebras, your geometries, chemistries, but we're also talking about not just those SATs. So standardized testing as well are pulling some of these numbers in, and we're seeing our numbers have gone down. So again, not to worry. We know that when the pandemic happened, there was a lot that went into it in regards to that fell in your lap, in regards to having to be able to have technology, and you all really having to step up and become assistant teachers, if you will, and making sure that your students were on task, making sure they were able to log in and get what was needed. We also had the same type of integration problems when it came to teachers. I mean, they also had to learn how to remote teach. So in thinking about that, we had some things break down or some communication barriers that happened there as well. We had things like, and this obviously was because of the school closures. This is nothing that any of us could have foreseen at all. So I think we handled it the best that we could, and all of us, but it really takes into the fact that your students' learning progression is a hands-on community effort by everyone, right? In a sense, I love the term, it takes a village of the sentence, and I think we really need to zone in on that because it had to do with the community, it had to do with the school, it had to do with the parents, it had to do with the student engagement. All of this fell into really also what we are looking at the term opportunity gap as well. So the opportunity gap expanded because the student learning gap expanded, and many times it really affected those who are in socioeconomic impoverished and lower status. So we need to keep that in mind as well. They didn't have the internet. There are many other training tools that they didn't have to be able to keep up with everybody else as well. So we need to keep that in mind. So let's get to what can we do about it at this point, or what is currently being done. One solution that I found that seems to be really working is taking a toll on, or a concentration on, everything in regards to social and emotional learning. This is called SEL learning, social emotional learning. This has been implemented throughout many districts throughout Georgia, especially. They've really embraced it, taken a hold of it. It really concentrates on getting the students back comfortable mentally inside of the classroom, so that they are prepared and at a neutral state to be able to process and learn and comprehend. They're not coming in with stress and anxiety and all of this and going through the lessons and only being able to catch half of it because you got all this thing, everything going around. They are set and ready to learn. So when we have these opportunities, we have things, we see higher schools functioning. When I say functioning, the research is saying that that would be that the school is having higher grades, higher test scores, their attendance rates are going up, homework completion is going up. And then on top of that, it's helping to build social and emotional skills, which helps student engagement. And when you have student engagement, then you have an active classroom, so that it's all about the student, right? So getting them to participate more, getting them to speak more, they feel more comfortable in their realms, and it just pushes academic performance in general. These interventions also help with self-management, social awareness, relationship skills. I mean, the list goes on, but it really is able to help to develop responsible decision making for the child when they're choosing to work on their academia. So what does that actually look like when we're talking about this social and emotional learning? So you have modules that we've created, and there are many others that have already been used as well. But it goes into the lesson. So it can be used as a warm-up, it can be used as throughout it, but it's really called accountable talk. So the students have the ability to have an open discussion, and it will obviously be led by one of us. It can be a current topic. It could be something where I'm trying to drive them towards maybe a bullying discussion. It could be just something random in regards to a current event. For instance, I may say, hey, how do we feel about the banning of TikTok? What would that do to you guys? But what I'm looking for is 100% participation. I'm looking for them not to be content based at that time. And again, this would be the warm up. Where typically right now, 3 days out of the week, we would have them come in doing content warm up. So reviews, math, just getting the mind going, getting it triggered. And then we go into the lesson. 2 days out of the week, Tuesday and Thursday, they would go into social emotional learning warm ups, looking at like current events, or I may say, hey, this is a presidential year. Do you feel like the presidential candidates bully each other? Let's talk about it. And so I'll say, on a cue of sip the tea, let's have a no hands discussion on what that looks like. You can agree, disagree, or build upon what your classmates say. And so we would just start talking about it. So we would do this for about 15 minutes, get everybody up, participating, exciting, close it out, and then go ahead into the lesson. So by doing that, we're making sure that we especially lower anxiety, because that's so huge when it comes to math, especially in the math setting. And as soon as you say the word test, the kids freeze up, right, and move. And we want to make sure that they are very comfortable, because we know they know the information, because we've talked about it. We're looking at quizzes, we're going through the comprehension rates, we're seeing it go up as far as that's concerned, but we want to make sure the testing environment is clear. So you're saying, what can I do, Ms. Miller, at home? At home on testing day, make sure that you're vibing with us as well. Make sure you guys know what the test days are. The night before, make sure they're getting a good night's sleep. Make sure that morning they're getting a great breakfast. Make sure you remain positive. Hey, I know you can do this. I know you got it. You've been working with them. You got 3 teachers in the classroom. If you need help, reach out. We know sometimes that the comprehension levels for the way that we are teaching things on newer modules, it may be a little difficult, or it may be just new and different to what we have done in the past. And there are a lot of new strategies that we're teaching. That's okay. Reach out to us. Maybe we can give you a helpful hint so that when they get home, you can help with homework. We understand that. We want to just close those gaps so that this child feels like they're surrounded with knowledge, they're surrounded with help, that we are all the village and we're all really pouring into them. Every day, stay in communication with us. We're here and happy to help. Keep encouraging them the way you already do. Let them know that this is a happy and safe place where they can speak up. We're also trying to push leadership skills within your child. We know that when SEL is implemented fully as well, you get higher graduation rates. You get higher test scores on the SATs in general. So this is an overall community effort. And we know that if we are able to implement some type of SEL or social emotional learning, coupled right with your approach at home and being as solid of parents as you all are already, that we are going to have amazing outcomes. So again, I'm Ms. Miller. Thank you so much for taking the time with me today. If you have any questions, please reach out. We are here and happy to help, and we will be with you through the rest of the semester. So again, thanks again, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.